ecosystem panel. So these are the builders of the backbone of Ordinals.
For degens to degens, a builder's got to build, so I'd love to welcome some critical people who help with the infrastructure that runs our entire ecosystem. Thank you guys so much for your work.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here. Thank you so much for coming, everybody, to our panel. Let's talk about ecosystem, infrastructure, onboarding artists. There's so many different things to talk about. So yeah, maybe in 30 seconds first, guys. I mean, I don't want you to spend time on like some boring introductions, but like, what are the things that you're most excited about right now when it comes to like your company, when it comes to just Ordinals and Runes in general? Amanda.
Hi,
Yeah.
I'm just a quick intro. Amanda Terry, co-founder of Metagood. We created NFT collection on ChainMonkey, first 10,000 inscribed on Bitcoin and Oshura. We've been bringing artists to Bitcoin. So to answer your question, I'm really excited about badass generative artists. I mean, it's been wonderful even just hearing Parker today, and I saw Billy, and just a lot of incredible artists that were on Ethereum now coming to Bitcoin, and for the longevity and the security of the mother chain, it's just, couldn't be more excited.
I agree. Ben, what's going on with
Good.
Opal and everything that you guys are doing?
So yeah. The thing that I'm definitely the most excited about right now is Web3. I can't wait to see Web3 coming to Bitcoin. Web3 to me kind of covers everything that is related to entertainment, gaming, e-commerce, education. So a lot of different activities that basically relate to the fact that you own part of the experience. And I think this will drive a significant adoption for Bitcoin.
Let's go. Ken.
Yeah, so for Xverse, as you know, we've been working on this for the past, month or two, but we are building Ruins infrastructure, and we've actually have a big announcement to make today. And I think it's going to be a pretty big improvement in terms of experience for Ruins. And just watch out on our social media for the announcement.
In a couple hours, huh?
Love it.
Before the party starts.
Yeah, love it, love it. Hey everybody, I'm Matthew. I lead the product marketing team at OKX. I think I'm probably excited about two things. One, I'm excited to see Trump speak about Bitcoin and what the policy shapes up to be in the US. And then I think the second thing is, as a effect of that, I'm really excited to see the next wave of onboarding of new users into this space, whether it be art, whether it be through Runes and Ordinals. And at OKX, that's part of our mission, is to help drive that onboarding. So excited to see what the next year holds for this space.
Yeah, you need to tell us what are the next events that you guys are doing around the world.
Yeah, somehow I'm like an events guy now, it's fun though. No, on OKX, at OKX, one of our core principles is innovation, and we've had a long history of supporting Bitcoin innovation, and we've seen obviously a renaissance in the past, say, 2 years since Ordinals protocol. But part of that is supporting the innovation and building with the community. And on the building with the community front, we've kicked off a global meetup series called the Ordinals World Tour. I'm wearing a t-shirt. There are a few people out here wearing t-shirts. But Ordinals World Tour is our way of building with partners such as Ordzar and others to start to create a space and an event that we can take global. We've done 2 events, one in Singapore, Vietnam. We have one here in Nashville tomorrow. So Ordinals World Tour has a stop here in Nashville. But we want to just start working and building with the community around us and creating a really cool event and a concept to take worldwide. And that's one of the many events that we put on, not only in the Ordinal space, but across the crypto space.
Amazing. Yeah, very important. I mean, just being here, meeting people in person, it's very hard, like hosting events is not an easy thing to do. There's a lot of logistics and, a lot of things that go wrong every time, you cannot avoid that even though you try so hard.
Of course.
But it's extremely important for the community and ecosystem building. Amanda, so you guys just did a drop, generative art drop. My question would be, like, what was the hardest when it comes to actually convincing, like a top artist from other chain, let's say, or somebody who is native to another chain like Ethereum, and bringing them to Bitcoin? Like, what is the hardest right now? And do you see that improving right now? Obviously, with all the infra that you guys are building, we're building, everybody else is kind of building together. So yeah, what is the hardest? What was the hardest? And how is it kind of improving where you see it's going?
Sure. Good. So we just launched a collection, Frontline, by Alexi Andre. Alexi Andre is a very well-known generative artist, Paris-based. He did friendship bracelets with art blocks, which did over 60 million volume, obviously in Ethereum when that came out. And we've been working with him for over a year. So originally, he came to us, he wanted to work with us on Ethereum. We had projected some of his works on the side of the Armadillo building during COP26 to inspire all the world leaders that are working on climate change to actually try to solve these problems. And so he came to us, and then, obviously my co-founder Danny's here in the front row. When the Ordinals protocol came out a year and a half ago, we said, actually, I think we could do your generative art. We can do long form, so i.e. like over, I don't know what you say, 3,000, 5,000. We're gonna do a 10,000 collection on Bitcoin. And there haven't been too many, long form generative art on Bitcoin. I mean, Billy Rusty, for sure Flora Forms, but there's a handful of them. And I believe, I don't want to get fudded, so please raise your hand if there is another collection that did long form, so a 10,000 generative art collection on Bitcoin, incorporating traits from another collection. I believe we were the first. We just dropped that mint on Monday, so they're inscribed directly to all the minters' wallets. It was over 4,000 unique wallet addresses from 300 communities that we collaborated with. And so if you're an on-chain monkey, you actually got to choose your monkey, and those traits, 3 of them, would go into the frontline art. So I think in terms of convincing him, it was kind of like, why Bitcoin? Hey, can I sell out a 10,000 collection on Bitcoin? Are there enough Ordinals people to sell on Bitcoin? Yeah, I think that was definitely something they're wondering. And then how is it going to work? Is the art going to look good? This generative art, is it going to look good? Bringing in the fur traits from On-Chain Monkey and the rare earrings and and the token codes. We didn't even know until the mint was done what the inputs were going to look like, right? So that's always a risk for an artist, right? This was not a pre-inscribed airdrop, right? We needed the mint to finish and know how many monkeys selected which monkeys to actually do the mint. So a lot of difficult variables, and then obviously from the Assura side, making sure that mint went totally smoothly, which it did. So, and hats off to our Eng team for that. So, a lot of risks when you're trying to do something new and doing something for the first time, but that's kind of what On-Chain Monkey is really about, is innovation on Bitcoin.
So, yeah, Matthew, if you want to...
I was going to say, that's awesome. That's just all I can say.
And I haven't seen anyone fudding me, so I do believe you.
It's going to come later.
All right, it's going to come on Twitter. I can't wait. I'm going to take the KOL thing. You put it out there, and then you get flamed, and I'm ready for it. But I do believe we were the first 10K generative
I have never seen anybody
with a
in
trait
person.
from another PFP collection.
Even
Bring it.
it's true. Even
I'm here.
Laser's maxis are super nice in person.
Yes, exactly. So don't worry, it's going to come.
I just lost 500 followers.
No, but maybe just to summarize real quick, this, like, you mentioned this thing where, the most difficult thing was like actually convincing him that Ordinals are big enough, or that Ordinals are something that people look at as like, hey, this is a real thing. When do you think is this kind of, let's say, maybe, I don't want to say it's stigma, but like this kind of like trait of Ordinals now is going to disappear in the eyes of these artists that are coming from other chains?
I think as the market continues to grow, and if there's more long-form generative art collections and they sell out, right? It's a big risk for an artist to do a 10K collection if you don't sell out, right? After you launched a very successful collection on Ethereum. And we had him on so many spaces. I mean, he was like every day, like going to space leading up to it. And he's just like, this is not about like Ethereum versus Bitcoin. I'm not trying to start a holy war here. But we also, obviously we worked with Xverse, we worked with Magic Eden too, because we wanted to bring in people from Ethereum and Solana and multi-chains. Those 300 communities were not just Bitcoin Ordinals, those were other chains as well. So, but that was a risk, right? So as we progress, as there's more successful collections that, have a lot of mint out and trade, then I think there'll be other artists that are like, oh wow, I don't have to do a small collection. I can really try to launch something big.
Yeah. Ben, you have something to add, to kind of persuading. I mean, you're kind of coming from a similar position, meaning that you guys are part of Animoca Brands. Animoca being one of the biggest companies in Web3. and basically mostly centered around Ethereum ecosystem, right? And you guys decided to come to Bitcoin, and you're also working with many of these companies, kind of onboarding them to Bitcoin. So, like, what kind of obstacles do you see in terms of them understanding Bitcoin and thinking, hey, this thing makes sense?
I think the legacy here is the fact that the DNA of Animoca Brands was originally Web3 and this strong vision of digital property rights and shared network effect, which is the virtue of what Web3 can bring as a new form of economy. And of course, Web3 was mostly powered by smart contracts, and NFTs was just one expression of that. So that's when the shift was, of course, a little bit like a leap of faith because of course Bitcoin still doesn't have smart contract to date, and the very lack of infrastructure. And we're talking about backbone of Ordinals here, right? The lack of infrastructure was kind of the limiting factor for people to grasp, the opportunity. Now, that being said, you can take a step back and be like, okay, but there are other items that I can look at to measure the opportunity. And that's what we did at Darewise when we were like, hold on, okay, there's no infrastructure, but there's insane amount of liquidity. $1.3 trillion, 3 times bigger than Ethereum. It's like 50 million non-zero wallets and the biggest brand. So all of a sudden you're like, well, maybe the infrastructure is not here, but there are all of the good reasons to bring the infrastructure and what you guys were building, and a lot of other amazing companies really working hard to get there. And when now we take a step back, we take a little pause and we look back, it hasn't even been 2 years.
Yeah.
It's so we're talking about it went light speed, to this point. So I understand that an artist can be of course, measuring her own risks, but at the same time, the opportunity is massive. And so, being a game developer originally, and when I keep meeting and onboarding new projects, we have 23 projects, 23 companies with you and Magic Inn and a lot of other great companies who have joined Opal. And when we're talking to new developers and they're like, well, why should we build on Bitcoin? I always flip the question and say, why shouldn't you build on Bitcoin when I just expose all of these reasons? Assuming that the infrastructure is catching up, what else are the good reasons to build on the testnet? And so I think people are really, really catching up now on this idea that as soon as we will be on par from a feature standpoint, and looks like it won't take a long time, then there will be no other reason to build on these ecosystems.
I'll just say one thing to add too is just that you can still do a 10,000 collection for a relatively low inscription fee. So any artists that are smart, thinking about
Especially
inscribing
now, I mean, it's
bigger,
like
yeah,
4
at
sats
some
per
point
megabyte
it's
right
going to
now.
be very expensive to do these,
Yeah.
maybe impossible.
Yeah. Right now, definitely inscribe as much as you can, but thanks, Ben, for that. I agree. I think, in many ways, our infrastructure on Bitcoin is more simple and more elegant, to be honest, compared to the other chains. I truly believe that. Ken, what is the hardest part when it comes to building stuff on Bitcoin? Actually developing great user experiences, building great user experiences. Like, what is the hardest part?
Yeah, I would say there's a lot of obstacles to building good experiences on Bitcoin because there's so much technical complexity that we have to kind of work around in order to build a good experience, right? Things like different address formats, UTXOs. So it's not really straightforward. Like if you try to tell people that, the same 2 Bitcoin accounts, addresses, same amount of Bitcoin, one tries to send their Bitcoin out, it's like 10 times cheaper than the other. How do you explain to the user that, this is because there's this thing called unspent outputs in your address, so that when you build that transaction, it's more expensive, and you have to tell them that sure, it looks like there's $1,000 on your account, but you can't actually spend any of it because they're all dust, right? It'll cost you more to spend it than it's worth. So there's a lot of that like we need to work around. And we've been doing that for the past year, but I think there's still a lot more work to be done from our end, as you know, we're kind of like the center of all this infrastructure, and are always trying to enable developers to build better experiences. Yeah, I think still lots of work to be done.
Yeah. So Matthew, what's your take on this? I mean, ultimately, I know that you're focused more on the marketing, let's say, side and even building the community, but what do you think is like the hardest about, you know, building on Bitcoin and building interesting stuff?
Yeah, to Ken's point, and my focus is on product marketing. I spend most of my days with our product managers,
Yeah.
asking them why they're building something and challenging them to build something better. But I think, yeah, to Ken's point, like, so at OKX, like, we have a really large audience, right? And as I mentioned before, our sort of goal, our end result that we'd be happy with is onboarding more people into this ecosystem. And a lot of times when people come into this ecosystem from our existing audience, they're confused because they don't understand a lot of the things that we take for granted every day that we maybe have learned over years of trial and error. For instance, when we launched Runes on our marketplace, right? And we can talk, like, we always are supporting everything that's new you can access on OKX wallet and marketplace. We're always going to be adding stuff. But I had a lot of friends who were like, oh, awesome, you guys are adding Runes. And they would go to OKX Exchange and they'd be like, where are the Runes? You know? But that's actually really interesting because that actually should be our expectation. That, like, when somebody comes to a site, like, they have an intention to buy something, to participate, but we haven't done a good enough job creating infrastructure and user experience that allows them to do so without having to learn so much upfront, right? And so it's a balance, I think. One thing that we do is we do a lot of education. We have a Learn content blog. We sent an email out for Ordinals, I think, we have over 50 million users, and it performed super well, and people were really interested. But then they come in and they're like, oh, I have to learn a lot of stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so when we think about infrastructure, it's the technical side, which we spend a lot of time figuring out and trying to improve. And, you know, I'll mention one thing that we're releasing coming soon. You guys will get a little bit of alpha on this. Is a product called On-Chain OS. And for OKX, we are an OKX wallet. We're a multi-chain wallet. We support Bitcoin, so that's Taproot, native SegWit, Nested, and we also support over 100 other chains, right?
Yeah.
And our infrastructure is awesome. Like, our team has spent a lot of time building a lot of infrastructure. We're now going to start opening that to other developers and give them the tools to access and build any experience on chain. Specifically,
Interesting.
we are focusing both on Bitcoin, obviously EVM, and On-Chain OS will be a tool set to provide builders to build on Bitcoin and to build across the cryptosphere. And so we're hoping that we get some help as well by giving more tools to developers to solve these problems. And the things that we're solving internally, we want to open up to others. So that's sort of our take on it. Marketing, getting people in, they're curious, but then they hit that wall of how does this work? And then we need to go, okay, how can we get more of us together to solve these problems? And so we're introducing On-Chain OS. Don't tell anybody I told you, by the way, because we're not supposed to tell anybody.
I'm tweeting it right now.
Don't tweet it out. Yeah, I'm just kidding. No, but yeah, so On-Chain OS, that's going to be a big launch for us coming up. And part of that will be a developer set of tools for Bitcoin builders.
That's cool. But correct me if I'm wrong, like, you guys actually listed some runes on the exchange, no? Or no?
Yeah. So we listed RuneCoin,
Yeah.
my bag. I'm not going to talk.
So you pushed for it.
No. I'm saying, no, definitely not me. I have nothing to do with listings. I have no ability to influence this stuff. Everybody asks me.
Doug.
But no, I'm
Doug,
in my personal,
Doug.
my personal bag, because I was a big RSIC supporter. Got the airdrops, bought some, very much in the space. But we do actually have runes on our exchange. We have the capability to do that, and I'm hopeful over the next few months and into the years and into the future, we see the liquidity, the activity that warrants us bringing runes to the centralized
Well,
exchange.
start listing more, man.
It's sort of like a chicken and an egg,
Yeah.
because as a business on the centralized side of our business, it is about, one, providing a marketplace with enough liquidity, buyers and sellers, and there's a lot of back end stuff that goes into that, and also ensuring that what we bring to these users is going to be there. So we took a shot, and I think it was the right thing to do, and I'm very excited about that, and I am hopeful that this space, as the space matures, runes matures, we will see more runes on the centralized trading experience, which would be greater access to more users.
I mean, Jan keeps hearing me complaining about the same thing, right, for the past few months, like maybe 2 months now. I think it's also, we need to prime the pump. Like we've been for 2 months, we've just been looking at each other and be like, okay, is it the right time? Is it
Prime
the
the
right
pump,
time?
you just said?
Yeah,
Let's
come on.
prime the pump,
Come
guys.
on, like, let's like you want more volume, you need more action,
Well-
you need more opportunities. So
Yeah.
the point of hopefully of all these of everything that we're doing together right now.
Exactly.
And I think that we have this very unique specificity in Bitcoin, which is that it is absolutely not PvP. And this is really unique. Like, especially coming from Ethereum, where everybody is shooting at each other all the time. Bitcoin is extremely collaborative, especially the ordinal space, where, when I remember talking to Danny and Amanda before we made the jump. That was like probably February or May 23, maybe March, where I had some questions and I got on a call with you two, and then more and more. So there is really this unique opportunity. If you're a builder today, you will always find support. You will always find people that will connect you, help you from a technical standpoint. We have so many stories, of people like struggling and calling this one or this one who just jumped in and helped. So I think this is really, again, to me, I hope that Nashville is going to wake up everyone to push stuff like as soon as next week. Like, look at what happened last week. We had 2 minutes and it was like people were so thirsty for action.
Yeah, you were exactly the same. You were just messaging me and saying like, I need to mint something. Give me something to mint.
Give me my fix.
Yeah, so it may actually be a good strategy to be launching products and projects now, because we have not actually seen many mints recently. So people are just kind of like, like I want to mint something, like, unless, obviously you need to choose the price wisely, I guess. But people definitely do want to, get exposure. They want to get back into that like energy and like excitement of actually doing something. So that's cool. Yeah, like I think we have like a couple more minutes left. Like maybe like let's go again, and we kind of discussed what you guys are excited about, but what do you foresee like Ordinals and this ecosystem really doing in the next 1 or 2 months? Like do you feel like we're gonna get back to like excitement, a lot of mints? Are we just waiting for the next listing from OKX exchange of the runes, to get some more retail into the play? Like what do you guys like foresee? What would you like to see in the next month or two in the short term?
I mean, if I knew what was going to happen in 1 or 2 months, I'd definitely have my bags full with it. So I'm probably.
I mean, you should have your bags full by now already.
Yeah. Okay. Let me pitch what I have. No, but I mean, I just think we all have to remember, as I think you said. I mean, it's only been like a year and a half. We're not even 2 years in. So this is so early. Like, even think about Bitcoin pricing going up and down and up and down. Like, this is just, I think you just got to zoom out a little bit and remember where we're at in the cycle, and that like little ups and this is just little things right now, right? But that's what's so great about everyone who's here, is that we're all building, and we're in it together, and people who come here, it's like you can take advantage of like being able to walk up to someone and be like, oh, Ben, show me how did you do this? How did you do this? Hey, Xverse, what's coming? What's the alpha? Like, you won't be able to do this in like 5 years, right? But this is what's so special about these types of events, is that all the builders are here, and we're just early days. That's all I'd say. So yeah.
So
Early
you don't
days
have
and
any
all
wish.
building.
You don't have any wish for Trump saying specific rune or specific project or like nothing like that.
I didn't come here for Trump. That's for sure.
Ben, what's up?
So one thing that I think people should look at is on June Analytics. I think it was Domo who made this great, great charts where you can look at the performance, just the activity on chain. And this is crazy. You see exactly the same pattern as last year, but in a different scale. And I think it's at least it's twice as big as last year, but with exactly the same pattern. So if I was to predict just by extrapolating, we know that you better load your bags because September, October is something is really gonna happen. Especially, I think there's also a bunch of triggers, right? There's to Nashville for sure will trigger something, and regardless of you liking or not Trump, I'm sure there is going to be some momentum following this. But also because in September we'll have the Ordinals Summit, where again a lot of us will be there. A lot of people will be sharing some cool stuff, and that will drive more activity after. So I am, of course, hyper bullish. I think that it washed off a little bit, which wasn't such a bad thing. We kind of like
it's
that,
good. It's healthy. It's needed.
Exactly. But it's going to be a busy last few quarter with Ordinals for sure. And 2025 is going to be a bloodbath. It's going to be, I say that in a positive way. So I'm very excited.
Ken, what do we see in the next month or two?
Yeah, maybe one example, I think, just more utility, right? I like to think that we're not just building tools for a giant casino forever, and there's actually some use in the future. And right now, like Ruins is just like it's gambling, right? I think stable coins could be something in the short term on Ruins that could make sense and provide some utility. And I think some projects are working on it and quite bullish on that.
Interesting. Matthew,
Yeah, maybe I'll.
when the next listing?
Yeah, no.
Matthew,
no
come on.
No comment. I'm cautiously optimistic, but I've been in this space long enough to know that good things take time.
Yeah.
And 2 months, I can't say we'll be anywhere different, too much different than we are right now. But there's 2 thoughts that come to mind. The first is conviction. And I think that as builders in this space, people who are here, we all have conviction and know in our hearts of hearts that this space is going to grow. And the effort that we're putting in to build that infrastructure will be the backbone of what comes next. And I think that next piece is there will be a point where Bitcoin becomes popular again in the general masses, right? And we're starting to see it bubble up more. And when that happens, I think we'll see Ordinals take a new shape and form as the de facto choice for art, community, collective on Bitcoin. I mean, I spent so much time talking about different chains and Bitcoin specifically. But when you talk to somebody about other chains, they don't know, most people in the world don't care and know anything about it. If you walk around Nashville today, I'll challenge you to find one person who knows more than 3 chains. Like, go walk around. Get the people in cowboy boots for sure.
Yeah, we don't need. We just need Bitcoin anyway.
Yeah.
So we don't even need to try that.
Yeah. So part of it is they'll say, okay, what do you know? They'll say Bitcoin, right? And there's a point where we're going to see folks who say Bitcoin, and then you say, do you know about Ordinals or art or NFTs? And be like, oh yeah, NFTs on Bitcoin. That connection hasn't really crossed the chasm yet. And so for us at OKX, we in our wallet, we invest heavily into the Bitcoin ecosystem. And I think over the next few months, we'll probably be chugging along here. But to Ben's point, I think by 2025, I think the roof is going to get blown off of everything that
Let's
we
fucking
go. We're here, we're staying, we're really excited to see what comes next, and I'm looking forward to that.
Me too. Awesome, guys. Thank you so much for joining me
Thanks,
here
Jan.
today.
Thank you.
And let's enjoy Nashville. Let's go.
Yeehaw!